today's Bible reading, Gilgal, place of covenant, Joshua 9:6. Gilgal is a special holy place in the biblical stories. It was there that the newly arrival Israelites were circumcised. This act reestablished them as God's chosen people and was supposed to prepare them spiritually for their conquest of Canaan. Gilgal was also where they celebrated their first Passover in the Promised Land. The camp at Gilgal served as the Israelites' base of operations during their early military activities. It is not surprising that Gilgal became a cultic center. At a later time, both Samuel and Saul named Gilgal as a place where one went to offer sacrifices. Understandably, Saul used Gilgal as a place of intensifying nationalistic feelings and loyalty. It was there that Saul was made king of Israel. When God listened to a man, Joshua 10:12-13. Joshua's prayer, sun, stand still over Givon, and moon in the valley of Ayalon, seems to request that somehow God stop the sun or perform some other miraculous heavenly event to lengthen the day. Joshua did not pray late in the evening. The sun over Givon would be in the east, while the moon in the valley of Ayalon would be in the west. This positioning of the sun and moon indicates early morning, and for Joshua to utter a request for a longer day at the time of day seems unusual. Joshua's asking the sun and moon to stand still is a request typical of a celestial omen texts from Mesopotamia. These texts are concerned with the first day of the full moon, which came at the middle of the month and was observable by the location of the sun and moon in the early morning on opposite horizons. In Mesopotamian omen texts, the sun and moon are asked to wait on each other so that they would be on their respective horizons on the 14th day of the month. When this positioning occurred, it was seen by the Mesopotamians as a sign of good fortune. For them, it indicated that their calculations were accurate, that there would be exactly 30 days in the month, and that the days themselves would be full length. On the other hand, when the sun and moon were on their respective horizons on any other day, it was considered a bad omen. The position of the sun in the east, Givon, and moon in the west, valley of Ayalon, suggests that this event occurred near the middle of the month. Joshua may be asking God to allow the sun and moon to stand still or wait for each other so that they would be on their horizons on a day other than the 14th day of the month. That would cause the Canaanites to believe that the day was an evil day for fighting and give the Israelites the upper hand before the battle began. What made this occasion memorable is that the Lord heeded the voice of a man. God listened to Joshua, and the sun and moon were positioned for Israel's advantage. The Lord fought for Israel. Now the book of Joshua, chapter 11, the northern conquest. And it came to pass when Jabin, king of Hazor, heard these things, that he sent Joab, king of Madon, to the king of Shimron, to the king of Akishaph, and to the kings who were from the north, in the mountains, in the plain south of Kinnerot, in the lowland, and in the heights of Dor on the west, to the Canaanites in the east and in the west, the Amorite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Jebusite in the mountains, and the Hivite below Hermon in the land of Mizpah. So they went out, they and all their armies with them, as many people as the sand that is on the seashore in multitude. with very many horses and chariots. And when all these kings had met together, they came and camped together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. But the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid because of them, for tomorrow about this time I will deliver all of them slain before Israel. You shall hamstring their horses and burn their chariots with a fire." So Joshua and all the people of war with him came against them suddenly by the waters of Merom, and they attacked them, and who defeated them and chased them to Greater Sidon, to the brook Misrephoth, and to the valley of Mizpah eastward. They attacked them until they left none of them remaining. So Joshua did to them as the Lord had told him. He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariots with a fire. Joshua turned back at that time and took Hazor and struck its king with the sword. For Hazor was formerly the head of all those kingdoms, and they struck all the people who were in it with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was none left breathing. Then he burned Hazor with fire. So all the cities of those kings and their kings Joshua took and struck with the edge of the sword. He utterly destroyed them, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded. But as for the cities that stood on their mounds, Israel burned none of them, except Hazor only, which Joshua burned. And all the spoil of these cities and the livestock, the children of Israel took as booty for themselves. But they struck every man with the edge of the sword until they had destroyed them, and they left none breathing. As the Lord had commanded Moses his servant, so Moses commanded Joshua, and so Joshua did. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord had commanded Moses. Summary of Joshua's conquests. Thus Joshua took all this land, the mountain country, all the south, all the land of Goshen, the lowland, and the Jordan plain, the mountains of Israel and its lowlands, from Mount Halak and the ascent of Seir, even as far as Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon, below Mount Hermon. He captured all their kings and struck them down and killed them. Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel except the Hivites, the inhabitants of Givon. All the others they took in battle, for it was of the Lord to harden their hearts that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might utterly destroy them, and that they might receive no mercy, but that he might destroy them, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And at that time Joshua came and cut off the Anakim from the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua utterly destroyed them with their cities. None of the Anakim were left in the land of the children of Israel. They remained only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod. So Joshua took the whole land according to all that the Lord had said to Moses, and Joshua gave it as an inheritance to Israel according to their divisions by their tribes. Then the land rested from war. The sea people settle in Philistia, Joshua 13:2-3. The Philistines were a people group whose origins are not clearly known. New Kingdom Egyptian sources from the 13th and 12th centuries BC mention them as one of the sea peoples who unsuccessfully invaded Egypt. The inscriptions of Pharaoh Meremptah report that when the Libyans attacked Egypt, there were foreigners from the sea fighting within the ranks of the Libyan armies. Egyptian descriptions of Pharaoh Ramesses' battles against the sea peoples lists the Philistines among the opponents. Some scholars believe that the Sea People groups came from the western regions of the Mediterranean and Aegean seas, from Greece and Crete. Cities, regions, and empires fell to these seaborne raiders. Cyprus, North Syria, the Hittite Empire, Ugarit. The Sea Peoples continued down the eastern Mediterranean coastal areas toward Canaan until Egypt's Ramesses III stopped their advance in 1175 BC. Ramesses did not win decisively. Later Egyptian sources record the settlement of some of the Sea Peoples in southern Palestine, which was in the Egyptian sphere of influence. The group called the Philistines organized a confederation of 5 major cities: Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. The Sea People's invasion spawned a new culture in Palestine, one that the Israelites would experience as Gazites, Ashdodites, Ashkelonites, Gittites, Ekronites. Joshua 13:3. Now, book of Joshua, chapter 12. The kings conquered by Moses. These are the kings of the land whom the children of Israel defeated, and whose land they possessed on the other side of the Jordan toward the rising of the sun, from the river Arnon to Mount Hermon and all the eastern Jordan plain. One king was Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon and ruled half of Gilead from Aroer, which is on the bank of the river Arnon, from the middle of that river, even as far as the river Yabbok, which is the border of the Ammonites, and the eastern Jordan plain from the sea of Kinnerot as far as the sea of the Arabah, the Salt Sea. The road to Beth Yeshimot and southward below the slopes of Pisgah. The other king was Og, king of Bashan and his territory, who was of the remnant of the giants, who dwelt at Ashtaroth and at Edrei, and reigned over Mount Hermon, over Salcah, over all Bashan, as far as the border of the Geshurites and the Maccatites, and over half of Gilead to the border of Sihon, king of Heshbon. These Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the children of Israel had conquered, and Moses, the servant of the Lord, had given it as a possession to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh. The kings conquered by Joshua. And these are the kings of the country which Joshua and the children of Israel conquered on this side of the Jordan, on the west, from Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon as far as Mount Halak and the ascent to Ser, which Joshua gave to the tribes of Israel as a possession according to their divisions, in the mountain country, in the lowlands, in the Jordan plain, in the slopes, in the wilderness, and in the south, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, and Hivites, and the Jebusites. The king of Jericho, 1. The king of Ai, which is beside Bethel, 1. The king of Jerusalem, 1. The king of Hebron, 1. The king of Yarmut, 1. The king of Lachish, 1. The king of Eglon, 1. The king of Gezer, 1. The king of Debir, 1. The king of Geder, 1. The king of Hormah, 1. The king of Arad, 1. The king of Libnah, 1. The king of Adullam, 1. The king of Makkedah, 1. The king of Bethel, 1. The king of Tappuah, 1. The king of Hether. 1. The king of Aphek. 1. The king of Lasharon. 1. The king of Madon. 1. The king of Hazor. 1. The king of Shimron Meron. 1. The king of Akshaph. 1. The king of Tanakh. 1. The king of Megiddo. 1. The king of Kadesh. 1. The king of Yokneam in Carmel. 1. The king of Dor in the heights of Dor. 1. The king of the people of Gilgal. 1. The king of Tirzah. 1. All the kings. 31. Amen. This is the end of the Bible reading today. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. God bless you. And see you tomorrow again.